Well, yesterday I started work clearing all the raspberries, all the raspberry canes, which had overtaken virtually all of the garden beyond the laurel archway there. And it was very misty and very cold. And today is even more misty and even more cold. And you can see the fennel beginning to collapse a little bit there. But I want to show you what I've managed to do so far. It was a lovely day working over here. It really was, and I hope to get back into the garden now this afternoon. It's still morning, I think it's about 11 o'clock. Let's go up here. The leaves are all frozen, hence all the crunching. So I managed to take down the willow arches, both of those that had been there and had collapsed. And you'll be able to see where I've planted some young trees. I mean, this little one here is a birch, so I want to do a bit more pruning around that birch to give it lots of light for the summer to come. And I started taking down all the growth on this willow as well. So you can see I've got some lovely big bits down there. And this is the pile that I cut. So yeah, you can see I've been extremely busy. But it felt so good just being out here working. See, there's the sun peeping through. There might be a little bit of warmth creeping into the day. But that wasn't all, of course. I made a good inroad into clearing much of the raspberries. These are all black currants here on this side and on this side, and then this dogwood. Okay, so this is coming into the Lunacy garden now from the other end. So you can see cleared this space a little bit as well, sort of squared it off a little bit and cleaned up some of the hedge that's there. And here you can see I've been piling up all the raspberries and all the various other things that I've cut out. Prune back the bushes along here to open up the pathway. Prune the tree a little bit here. So coming on down, you can see most of the raspberries have been taken out. You can see that now. And some of the shrubs have been pruned as well. Of course, you can also see the frost, very, very heavy on the plants here. Laid a little bit of stone down in this path, which will be worked in as the winter progresses. Be hardly visible come mid-spring. So over here, did a little bit of pruning and tidying up along there. And as you can see, the raspberry canes have been stacked up there as well. Lots of compost. You can also see, of course, I've got a lot of work to do cleaning the outside of the tunnel. There's the moon up there, look. That's the waning moon. And then, oh, look at the boy rolling about. I hope he's not rolling about in badger poo, because that can make him rather smelly. So, cleared all the raspberry canes from here. And then I worked down along here and I started doing a little bit of hedge trimming just to tidy up around this area. Keep on top of the work. Got some canes left to clear here. Let me just go on and show you. I kind of worked in a very organic way. I moved from one task to another quite organically, just as I moved through the garden. So you can see up here underneath these apple trees and around the apple trees, a fair bit of clearing. And then I ended up here. So I give this little shrub a bit of a tidy up. And then I got stuck in here and I cut back this hedge. I know it looks a little bit tatty, but it'll come back on very lush. And now looking through this way, I cut down the spirea, which had gone right up through the trees. That of course opens up the garden to a lot more light and a lot more air. So yes, I have been busy, but it's been good work. And it gave me quite a lot to ponder on last evening, because I was working out in my mind's eye where I was going to go from this point. Of course, I've got a lot more work to do in there, but it's just working out the stages, you know. Now I also pruned back a little bit of the bamboo there, just to keep that path open and fairly neat. There we go. Lots done, lots more to do, but feeling quite satisfied with the work in progress. Well, it's about 4:30. You can see out there, there's the pheasant. Come up for some oats. It's very, very cold. Very misty. That's the third lot of... Oh, I have to go, that's the phone. I'll be back. Now, these things happen when you don't do any editing as such. But look at that beautiful pheasant. Actually, the reason why I kind of was alerted to him was that I was outside working and I came round the front of the cottage with Jack, and as Jack scooted in front of me, of course Mr. Pheasant there made a great big noise, taking off in flight into the hedgerow. So I thought, okay, I best go back in and put some more food out for these little beauties. He's gone over there to the right. Now, there were 6 pairs of blackbirds here this morning. It is bitterly cold, and the birds are starving, you know, because when it gets very cold, their energy resources are very quickly depleted. It's really important to feed them. And of course, you know the reason why I feed the birds. When so many people, well, sanctimonious people I call them, say, oh no, you shouldn't feed the birds. You know, they're not domestic animals, blah, blah, blah. The point is, be quiet, Jack. Don't be scaring off Mr. Pheasant again now. The point is that we've got quite a few apologies to make to the animal and bird kingdom because we've taken all their habitat. And the sanctimonious people don't see the bigger picture. That's their problem. But you know the old saying, there are none so blind as those who cannot see. Of course, those in the armchair warriors, or the keyboard warriors. Of course, I'm far too busy living in the real world here. Interacting. Of course, it's such a joy to watch them in the morning. It's beautiful. Now that fog out there is a freezing fog, which is one of the worst kind of weather conditions you can have. For all living sentient beings. And of course the birds now have a very long night to endure. So the more calories they can pack in there, the better for them. Same with Mr. Pheasant. He's a beaut. He really is a beaut. People say, how do you know that's a male pheasant? Well, because they're strikingly gorgeous. They have to be to attract the females. The females are usually quite plain. They don't need to be strikingly gorgeous, you see, because they have what's called the it factor. Reminds me of my grandmother on my mother's side. She was really the polar opposite of my Irish grandmother. Yes, Grandma Lillian was my English grandmother, and unlike my Irish grandmother, who flung off her girdle and stays. I think when she had her last child, which was decades before I was born, my English grandmother always kept a little bit of glamour about her. And what I remember most about Lillian, I didn't have too much contact with Lillian because I only got to see her in the summer, and that was only for brief spells during the summer holidays. But she had been born and reared during the 1920s, you see. And she had this beautiful Clara Bow haircut, which she kept all the way through her life. So it was a beautiful bob, and she kept her hair dyed jet black. And she was a real flapper. I mean, she was the embodiment of an aged flapper, and she was just incredible, and she had the it factor. Yeah. She used to put rouge on her cheeks, and she wore lipstick. Of course, my Irish grandmother never approved of all that. Talk about a contradiction. I was brought up straddling conflicted worlds, you know, England and Ireland, and two different kinds of grandmothers, two different families. Oh, you see, just looking at that pheasant brings a lot of memories back when I think of the dynamics of those birds. The blackbirds are the same, actually. You see the blackbird there on the right? He's black and he's got a yellow beak and he's rather gorgeous. And that little brown, sort of almost nondescript colour, pecking at the moment, that's the female. See, she doesn't have the glamour. So in the bird world, it's the males who have all the glamour. Oh, so funny. So I haven't lit the stove in here because I've been working most of the day. I've been in the studio working and I've been outside in that freezing fog and I've been to the post office as well. But still in all, there's not enough work in the day for me really. But the days are so short. I suppose it's just nature's way of telling us to take a rest. But that's very hard for me. I find it very difficult. I do like to be on the go. My little lights have come on. Fantastic little lights really, because they work on 3 little AA batteries and they have a kind of a self-timer, so they come on just around this time of the evening and it's starting to get dark. I also have some lights inside that big candle holder there, which is quite nice. Well, this is a view that you don't often get to see. Let me just straighten up my camera. I'm sitting on top of a little vase here, which is on the bedroom windowsill. If I could just get it straight, that would be good, wouldn't it? Okay, there we go. So I'm just looking over towards the bird table, and that looks like either a female blackbird or thrush, not too sure. No, I was going to do, that's Jack click-clacking over the wooden floor. I was going to do a series of short videos and put them together and then put them up at the end of the week, but I might put them up today. I'll see what the internet connection's like, because with this freezing fog and the sort of dampness in the air, it could be a little bit slow. Got all the birds in the bird feeder. Now I've got 3 bird feeders out there and they're all being utilised by the birds. Got this big queue for each of them. The cottage is nice and warm. I kept the stove on all night. What I do, I pile the whole stove up with lots of turf and wood, and then I put some papers or cardboard or, you know, anything which is cardboardy on the top, and then close the whole thing right down so there's virtually no air going through it, and then it stays in overnight, and it keeps the cottage at a sort of an ambient temperature. Obviously on very cold nights, you know, it's got a bit more to deal with. I could sit here all day just watching these birds. It's beautiful. So, oh, it's 10 to 4. I thought it was a bit later than that. That's Jack's noises in the background. That bird had a good old feed look. I think she's just about cleared that bird table. She's probably sat there thinking, I wish there was some more. Right, okay. So blessings to you all, and keep warm. I heard in the post office today that we're in for a very cold winter. This is certainly a bit of a shot across the bows, I think, this weather at the moment. So blessings to you all.